The Filipina who silenced center court, Alex Eala, just ended A Queen's reign. A&D, the whole world is losing its mind, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on to whatever you're holding on to, because what just happened on center court at Wimbledon is the kind of story that Hollywood writers would reject for being too unbelievable. A 21-year-old from the Philippines, a country where tennis courts are about as common as snowfall, just walked onto the most hallowed patch of grass in the sporting world and dismantled the defending Wimbledon champion in front of a crowd that came expecting a coronation and left witnessing an execution. Her name is Alex Eala, and if you don't know it yet, you are about to know it very, very well. Because this young woman just rewrote the history books for an entire nation in the span of 2 hours and 14 minutes. Let's set the scene, because the drama here is almost too cinematic to be real. Iga Swiatek, the reigning queen of Wimbledon, a 6-time Grand Slam champion, a woman who has spent years being the sport's most feared closer, walked onto that court as the champion. The favorite, the one everybody assumed would cruise through to the second week without much fuss. And on the other side of the net stood Alex Eala, ranked a modest world number 32, a player most casual tennis fans outside of Southeast Asia had barely heard of just a few weeks earlier. This was supposed to be the moment Swiatek reminded everyone why she's a champion. Instead, it became the moment Alex Eala reminded everyone that fairy tales still happen, even on the biggest stages in sports. And here's the twist that makes this story even juicier. This wasn't even the first time Eala had gotten the better of Swiatek. Rewind back to the 2025 Miami Open, and you'll find Eala pulling off a stunning upset over the very same Swiatek in the quarterfinals. A result so shocking at the time that it briefly made her the most talked about name in tennis. Swiatek, to her credit, exacted a measure of revenge a few months later at the Madrid Open, grinding out a 3-set win on her beloved clay. So when the draw gods decided to pit these two against each other yet again, this time at Wimbledon, on grass, on center court. With a place in the second week of a Grand Slam on the line, tennis fans knew they were in for something special. Nobody, however, predicted just how special. The match kicked off on that Saturday evening under the lights of center court, and from the very first ball, you could feel that this was not going to be a routine straight sets victory for the champion. Eala came out swinging, absolutely refusing to be intimidated by the occasion, by the crowd, by the aura of the woman standing across the net who has spent the better part of the last few years bulldozing through the WTA Tour. The first set alone stretched to nearly an hour and a half of pure nail-biting tennis. Both women traded blows like heavyweight boxers, refusing to give an inch. Eala broke early. Swiatek broke back. Eala broke again. Swiatek, never one to go down without a fight, leveled things right back up. By the time the set reached 5 games apiece, it was clear neither woman was going to hand this over easily, and so, fittingly, it all came down to a tiebreak. And what a tiebreak it was. This wasn't just a tiebreak, it was an emotional roller coaster wrapped inside a tennis match. Eala surged ahead, racing to a 5-2 lead that had the Filipino contingent in the stands already reaching for their flags. But Swiatek, the champion that she is, wasn't about to let this set slip away without leaving everything on the court. She clawed back point after point, dragging the set all the way to a white-knuckle 9 all deadlock. It was the kind of tennis where you could feel your own heartbeat in your ears just watching it. But when it mattered most, it was Eala who found the extra gear, closing out the tiebreak and sending center court into an eruption as she took the opening set 7-6. If you thought that was the peak of the drama, buckle up, because the second set is where this match transformed from an upset into a full-blown coronation of a new star. Eala came out of the changeover looking like an entirely different player, one who had shed every ounce of nerves and replaced it with ice-cold conviction. She stormed to a 4-love lead, breaking Swiatek's serve not once but twice in the opening games, dictating rallies with fearless baseline hitting and returns that seemed to know exactly where the champion was going to place the ball before she even hit it. For a few dizzying minutes, it looked like Swiatek might not win another game. But champions don't fold that easily, and Swiatek showed flashes of the fight that has carried her to 6 Grand Slam titles. She clawed back a couple games, trimming the deficit and giving her fans in the stands a flicker of hope that a comeback was brewing. She even manufactured breakpoints in the final game of the match, forcing Eala to survive not 1, not 2, but 4 breakpoints while trying to serve out the biggest win of her career. Imagine that pressure. Imagine standing 2 points away from the biggest victory of your life, only to watch the defending champion claw back chance after chance to snatch it away from you. Most players crumble in that moment. Alex Eala did not. She dug in, she found her serve when she needed it most, and on the third match point, she unleashed a forehand winner that ended the match, ended Wiatek's title defense, and ended any doubt about who the better player was on that particular Saturday evening in July. The final score read 7-6 in a tiebreak, 6-2. But scorelines never tell the full story, do they? What the scoreline doesn't show you is the image that will define this tournament. Alex Eala, overwhelmed by the magnitude of what she had just done, sinking down and breaking into tears right there on the grass, unable to fully process the moment even as it was happening to her. Center court, a crowd that had shown up expecting to watch their defending champion cruise through, rose to their feet and gave this rising Filipina star a standing ovation. That's the kind of respect you only earn by doing something extraordinary. And extraordinary is underselling it. Because with this win, Alex Eala didn't just beat a 6-time Grand Slam champion, she became the first Filipina in the entire open era of tennis to reach the 4th round of Wimbledon. Let that sink in for a moment. The Philippines, a nation absolutely electric about basketball, boxing, and volleyball, a country where tennis courts are a rarity and tennis academies are even rarer, now has a homegrown hero standing in the second week of the most prestigious tennis tournament on the planet. This isn't just a win for Alex Eala. This is a win for an entire nation that has waited generations for a moment exactly like this one. Speaking after the match, an emotional Eala could barely find the words to describe what she was feeling. She admitted that for a champion who has already won multiple majors, a moment like this one might seem small in comparison, but for someone who grew up in the Philippines, where the road to tennis stardom is filled with obstacles most players from tennis powerhouse nations never have to think about, this achievement means absolutely everything. She got emotional mid-sentence, unable to finish her thought before the tears took over again. And who could blame her? This young woman has spent years fighting an uphill battle against the lack of resources, a lack of infrastructure, and a lack of precedent, and here she was, sobbing tears of joy on the most famous court in tennis after beating the very best, and she wasted no time making a statement. Her first-round opponent didn't stand a chance as Eala cruised through in dominant fashion. Then came the second round, where she faced off against Maya Joint, the very same player who had just knocked out tennis royalty Serena Williams in the first round. If you're looking for a signature Alex Eala trait, it's this. She does not fear big occasions, and she does not fear big names. Eala dropped the first set to Joint, but roared back with a vengeance, winning the final 2 sets in a performance so electric that hundreds of Filipino fans packed into the outer courts to roar her on, turning what should have been a modest side court match into one of the most electric atmospheres of the entire tournament. That win made her the first player from the Philippines to ever reach the 3rd round of a Grand Slam tournament in the Open era. And then, just 2 days later, she topped that achievement by taking down the defending champion herself. Think about that timeline. In the span of less than a week, Alex Eala broke a national record, then broke it again. She has become must-watch television, not just in the Philippines, but for tennis fans across the globe who are falling in love with her fearless, aggressive, left-handed game. There is something almost poetic about the fact that it keeps being left-handed players who give Wiatek trouble, and Eala has become the most recent and most devastating example of that trend. Now boasting a 2-1 head-to-head lead over a woman many consider one of the greatest players of this generation. So what happens now? Eala's reward for toppling the defending champion is a date with former Wimbledon finalist and 13th seed Jasmine Paolini in the 4th round, a matchup that will mark Eala's first ever appearance in the second week of a Grand Slam tournament. This is uncharted territory, not just for Eala personally, but for Philippine tennis as a whole. There has never been a Filipino player, man or woman, who has gone this deep into a major tournament in the modern era. Every match from here on out is a new chapter in a history book that is being written in real time, and you had better believe the entire nation of the Philippines will be glued to their screens rooting her on. And here's a delicious little subplot for you. Eala's win over Wiatek wasn't even the only seismic shock to rattle Wimbledon that day. Just an hour before Eala completed her stunning upset, another defending finalist and former champion, Elena Rybakina, was also sent packing, bounced out of the tournament by 25th seed Elise Mertens. Two former champions and top contenders gone within the same afternoon. The 2026 edition of Wimbledon has officially entered chaos mode, and if you're a fan of upsets, drama, and Cinderella stories, this is shaping up to be one of the most unpredictable Grand Slams in recent memory. The draw has been cracked wide open, and suddenly a path to the latter stages of this tournament looks a whole lot more accessible for anyone brave enough and good enough to seize the opportunity. Alex Eala has already proven she's more than capable of seizing exactly that kind of opportunity. Let's also give credit where it's due to Witek, because as devastating as this loss is for her title defense, she handled the aftermath with the class of a true champion. She acknowledged before the match that Eala presents a uniquely tricky challenge, noting that the young Filipina is unpredictable. Aggressive style becomes even trickier to handle on a surface like grass where rhythm and timing can be disrupted so easily. That comment now reads almost prophetic. Witek knew the danger walking in, and even knowing it, she still couldn't find the answers. That says everything you need to know about how good Alex Eala's tennis truly is right now. This wasn't a lucky upset. This wasn't a defending champion having an off day. This was a rising star imposing her will on one of the most decorated players of this era on the biggest stage that player calls home turf. For Witek, this loss comes with real consequences beyond just the heartbreak of an early exit. As the defending champion, she was carrying a massive haul of ranking points into this tournament, and losing this early means she's set to shed close to 2,000 points, a hit significant enough to potentially knock her out of the world's top 10 rankings. That's the brutal reality of professional tennis. One bad afternoon against the right opponent, and a stark reminder of just how unforgiving this sport can be, and it's a stark reminder of just how significant Alex Eala's achievement truly is. She's not just making headlines. She's actively reshaping the entire landscape of the WTA rankings with her run. Now let's zoom out for a second, because this Wimbledon has been an absolute roller coaster of storylines, and Alex Eala's fairy tale run is just one thread in a tournament that has been delivering drama on every single court. Fans who tuned in hoping to watch Coco Gauff continue her incredible form, or to see Naomi Osaka mount another one of her patented Grand Slam resurgences, have had plenty to sink their teeth into as the tournament unfolds. Every year, Wimbledon has a way of producing must-watch moments seemingly out of thin air, and this year, with defending champions falling left and right, and a 21-year-old underdog from a nation with almost no tennis pedigree charging into the second week, we may be witnessing one of the most historically significant editions of this tournament in years. The old guard is being tested, shaken, and in some cases dethroned entirely, and a new generation of fearless, hungry competitors is stepping into the spotlight with zero intention of backing down. There's something almost mythical about how this story is unfolding. A young girl from a country with virtually no tennis infrastructure, no long lineage of Grand Slam champions to draw inspiration from, decides she's going to chase this dream anyway. She grinds through the lower levels of the sport, battles through qualifying rounds, fights for scraps of recognition in a sport dominated by nations with decades of investment in tennis academies and training facilities. And then, on the grandest stage in the sport, in front of a crowd of thousands and millions more watching around the world, she doesn't just compete, she conquers. She takes down not one but potentially multiple decorated champions on her way to rewriting the history books for her entire country. If this were a movie script, critics would call it too far-fetched, too neatly written, too perfect an underdog story to be believable. And yet, here we are, watching it unfold in real time, tears and all, standing ovation and all. What makes this even more special is the reaction back home. Picture the scenes across the Philippines right now. Watch parties erupting into chaos as that final forehand winner landed. Social media completely flooded with flags, hearts, and messages of pride. An entire nation collectively losing its mind over a tennis match of all things in a country where basketball courts vastly outnumber tennis courts. Alex Eala has done something remarkable here. She hasn't just built a tennis career. She has single-handedly ignited a nationwide passion for a sport that has historically flown under the radar in her home country. Kids across the Philippines are picking up rackets right now, dreaming of one day doing exactly what Alex Eala just did on center court. That's the kind of generational impact we're talking about here. And let's not forget, this story is far from over. Eala now turns her attention to Jasmine Paolini, a former Wimbledon finalist who knows exactly what it takes to go deep in this tournament and will be no pushover. But if this run has shown us anything, it's that betting against Alex Eala right now is a fool's errand. This is a player who has already beaten a 6-time Grand Slam champion twice in her career, who has now beaten a defending Wimbledon champion on the lawns of the All England Club, and who has shown time and time again that the bigger the stage, the better she seems to perform. Whether she goes on to make an even deeper run into the second week, or whether her Wimbledon story ends with Paolini. One thing is already certain, Alex Eala has cemented her name in Philippines sporting history forever, and there is no taking that away from her. So here's what we know heading into the next round. History has already been made. Records have already been broken. A nation has already fallen in love. And yet somehow it feels like the best is still yet to come. This is the kind of underdog story that reminds all of us why we fall in love with sports in the first place. It's not about the favorites cruising to another predictable title. It's about the outsiders, the ones nobody expected, rising up and proving that heart, fearlessness, and relentless belief can topple even the most decorated champions in the world. Alex Eala didn't just win a tennis match today. She wrote herself into legend. We are going to be following every single second of this incredible Wimbledon run, and you do not want to miss a single update. This story is moving fast, the drama is only intensifying, and Alex Eala's next match against Jasmine Paolini could either extend this fairy tale even further or bring it to a dramatic close. Either way, you need to be here for it. So here's what you're going to do right now. Smash that like button so more people can discover this incredible underdog story. Drop a comment below and tell us who you think wins the 4th round showdown. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because Champions Tennisidics is going to be bringing you every